Welcome back, everyone, to the Intel Extreme Masters World Championship. We're just about to get underway with game number 2 between the KT Rolster Bullets and Gambit Gaming, with KT Bullets having a 1-0 lead. This talk that Gambit are doing right now is very important.
Very, very important. They definitely have to change a few things in the Champ Select because KT Bullets had a very strong combo, counter-picking some of the picks from Gambit they actually really wanted, like the Renekton. So they need to make sure they can mix things up here. Potentially even banning away the Kha'Zix from Insec, or if Diamond actually plays it, pick it for him, or pick it, of course, for Alex.
And I have to wonder what's been said in there, as well as smiles all around still for Gambit, despite being in this high-pressure tournament. And we know they were the world champions in 2012. They won here at Intel Extreme Masters Katowice last year. They don't like to leave an Intel Extreme Masters event without a trophy.
But no matter what happens in this game, we have to say that Gambit today, they surprised us, they came back so strong, managed to get into the semi-final despite losing so hard yesterday. So for them, just being in the semi-final, getting to play against the KT Bullets here means something. But of course, they want to get into this final, they want the trophy, and they want the title.
We're just waiting for them to get themselves sorted out. Gambit will be joining the lobby. You saw them huddled up. They need a team talk. They needed to get themselves sorted out for this one. They need to get themselves hyped up for this one. And that man right there in that mid lane, he needs to step up. He didn't really have a performance that fits, and Diamond will not be happy with his home performance, having to basically run around the entire jungle chasing Insect's tail.
Yeah, Insect was so active when it came to ganking, where Diamond had a lot more focus on farming, and he got a very big CS lead, but he simply couldn't use it because every single gank from Insect resulted in either a kill or an assist for him, and he just kept getting stronger and stronger. And then with the combo and with the very beautiful rotation play from KT Bullets, the split pushing and everything, they took full control of the map, and they just started fight after fight because they had superior vision control, and also they were ahead in goal.
So, are we going to see changes this time around in terms of picks and bans? Will they let Kha'Zix go through again? Will they pick it away themselves even, maybe?
I think they should ban it away and then focus on, again, Renekton for someone like Darren. If they ban away the Shen, could also be a possibility. Or they can say, yeah, you know what, we don't care about your Shen. You can get Renekton as well. We have something ready to counterpick the Renekton, or something Darren can play against it. But I would actually not be surprised to see both Shen and Renekton, or at least Shen being banned away from Gambit's side, forcing then KT Bullets to ban the Renekton.
So we are going to get into those bans and picks here in just a second, figure out exactly what, if anything, is going to change for Gambit. One thing that has changed for sure is that Gambit on the blue side this time around. First ban actually coming out of this one, I can tell you, is in fact Gragas and Evelyn banned away here by the KT Bullets.
So they don't want to deal with the Gragas from last game. Rio was very good on it when it came to punishing Alex when he did his distortion forward. He punished him instantly, and of course the wave clear he brings to the table. And I like, again, the Evelyn ban from KT Bullets. They respect Diamond Procs, they respect what he can do on Evelyn early on and also in team fights, so that's why they decide to ban it away.
So Blanc taken out there, Lulu going to be banned away as well, being a big ban throughout these last couple of days, to be honest.
Simple as that. I mean, it's first pick worthy for every single team because Lulu is so good. That's why you want to get rid of it early on. The Nidalee ban here, Rio is a very good Nidalee player, and they simply target him with all the bans. Want to make sure he's not getting what he wants. It means, though, Kha'Zix is open, Shen is open, Renekton is open. Of course, Elise is open in the jungle, Lee Sin is open. There's so many options, and with Aatrox as the last ban, KT Bullets might try again to say, take Renekton, please, so we can counterpick it with Shen once again.
Lee Sin open and Elise open. Lee Sin's the choice, which does leave Kha'Zix open for Insec. He has been one of their early picks, their first picks, has to be said before, but they do have a bunch of options. Ryu, we've seen him on Zed, wasn't the greatest performance up against Faker. It's the highlight video that he wants to forget himself, I would say, but he is a very good Zed player.
Yeah, let's be fair, losing to Faker Zed is not exactly something to be...
I think anyone in the world could probably be happy with that. They'd be like, yeah, I lost, it was to Faker. At least I was in the final against him.
That's a good point.
I'd be happy to at least get to play against Faker.
Yeah,
so,
get to that level. I'm not on that level, that's for damn sure.
Looking at the Champ Select, though, with Lee Sin being locked in for Diamond, he clearly shows that he's not preferring Elise. He wants to be able to make plays, he wants to be able to set up team fights as well. With this Lee Sin pick, we have seen him so many times starting the fights, and Kassadin, as a first pick, would surprise me a little bit.
if they don't, if they switch away from this one, will we see Gambit locking that in themselves? Are we going to see a switch? No, they're going to take Kha'Zix, and they were. Okay, very much a last-second switch there. Renekton going to be locked in, and the Kassadin. We've seen one Kassadin so far. We've not been impressed with it.
No, and now this opens up for Gambit to simply counterpick the Kassadin in the mid lane. There's so many things you can more or less just kill him in the lane because he is so weak.
Like a Kha'Zix, which you'd want to take away from Insect, for example.
That is actually a very good pick against the Kassadin, of course. And we need to remember with Kassadin, Q has been nerfed, the E has been nerfed as well, so the damage from him early game is so low. He's just focusing on farming in the laning phase, so it will be a very free lane actually for Alex here to get some good farm, unless KT Bullets decide to swap around once again. But putting Kassadin in a side lane is not ideal. It's very easy to gank him, especially early on before the level 6. They do have the Renekton on KT Bull's side, so we won't see Shen again at least. But with the Renekton here, let's see what Darren actually falls back on. Because Aatrox is gone, that's normally his second pick or his first pick, and then the Renekton comes in. And now he needs to either pick up a Trundle or Dr. Mundo or Shyvana, and then try and at least survive the early game and then outscale Renekton.
I think you mean Dr. Darien.
Dr. Darren, of course. Sorry for disrespecting Darren.
There you go, get the right reference. Thresh being picked up by Edward. It was very well played by Yellowstar earlier on today, but if anyone knows how to play against Thresh, it will be the KT Bullets. It's a champion that's picked non-stop in the Korean scene. We may well be seeing an Annie in that bottom lane. That's not a bad pick. And of course, Elise, one of the top junglers, being given to Insect.
Yes, so again, he had his take on, of course, Kha'Zix and obviously Elise. So for him, that's what actually the reason they delayed it. They said, we don't even mind you guys getting Kha'Zix because we just have Elise and it's just as fine for us. You can do so much for the entire game. You have so much early game or mid game pressure with Elise. She's so strong. And she can always, again, even in the late game, as a full tank Elise, you have your execute on your Q, so you have your cocoon as well. You always have something to bring in team fights. And then with the Annie pickup, combined with Kassadin, to start the fight, to set something up here. Obviously, Kassadin doesn't want to go in as the first target, but still, with the AoE they have, with the magic damage here, combined, they actually force Gambit now to both focus on, of course, armor and magic resist, because you want to have some armor against this Renekton and, of course, the AD carry.
So what are Gambit going to finish off with? Looking for the AD carry and top laner here for them.
Oh no. No. Of course not. Lee Sin is already locked in.
Yeah, don't panic. Don't panic. It's just Edward.
Just Edward.
And they are going to go for the Shyvana Renekton matchup this time around. Not sure how that's going to work out for Darien, but Lucian has been picked up. So the Lucian Thresh, it's the #1 combo in Europe that seems to be working well. How's it going to work against a potential, what do we think, Caitlyn or Sivir here?
Well, there's nothing KT Bullets can pick on the AD carry side that can surprise Gambit actually here. Jinx could potentially be very, very strong if she can make sure he's not getting hooked by Edward when Diamond is there for the gank. The only risky thing with Jinx here is the fact that both Kha'Zix, Shyvana and Lee Sin can jump into your face. They all have gap closers to get to the Jinx, but KT Bullets are simply banking on the fact that they can start the fight and then force Gambit to more or less group up and have to kill either the Kassadin jumping in or the Renekton coming in into the face of them, so Jinx can stay in the background and be safe. But if Gambit are doing the engages, or if they come around the side onto this Jinx, Diamond will be able to kick him into the face of the rest of Gambit and get an easy kill onto him. And with this Kassadin pick here, the mid lane for me is going to be a very big question, because if Rio can manage to at least stay fairly even with Alex, it's a big win for him, but Alex, he really needs to dominate this one and make sure he can help the other lanes, because if he can go up to Shyvana, help her out against Renekton early on, make sure she can outscale Renekton, make sure she has a good and safe early game, it's going to be very good for Gambit. But the combo again from KT Bull's side, if they get ahead early on, if Kassadin can survive the laning phase, is very, very scary.
Speaking of that laning phase, will we see any swaps around coming to, to utilize or to help out that Kassadin and make him feel a little bit safer and make him have an easier time?
That's the issue for KT Bullets, because again, swapping Kassadin into a side lane is not ideal. Putting Kassadin against Shyvana is not going to work out for Kassadin. Putting Kassadin down in the bot lane against, of course, Lucian and Thresh is not going to work out at all. So for them, they're actually forced to go at least put Kassadin in the mid lane, and that's where Kha'Zix is very strong against him. So Gambit with the advantage when it comes to level 1 and setting up the lanes. But then, of course, we have to remember Renekton top lane can punish Darien hard. The dives from Insect coming in. And actually a little bit surprised there's no teleport onto Kassadin. That's normally what we see. It helps him out getting at least a few kills or some pressure early on, because he can teleport down to the bot lane or the top lane and set a gank up or a counter gank. running Ignite this time, and let's see where they actually decide to put the Cassette in. And let's see how much they can do in the spot lane at level 6 with both Jinx and Annie. You have so much burst. If you land the tables, you have to execute ultimate from Jinx. Very hard to deal with, but we have to remember with this very chase-heavy combo or engage-heavy combo from KT Bullets, the Lantern from Edward can actually turn out to be very, very important if he can help out the rest of his members if they're being caught out of position.
Oh, here we go then. Game number 2 between Gambit and the KT Bullets. A score just going through that brush there. Spotted Genja as he did go out, and knowing that Edward's probably not far behind, you definitely don't want to be having to burn a flash early on to avoid any possible hooks that can come your way.
Now again, if KT Bullets should decide to lane swap, would surprise me a lot. They have a very good combo to push down turrets, of course. Jinx is one of the best AD carries, if not the best AD carry to push turrets early on. So they will have at least a chance, and a hook!
The flash hook didn't land, but it forced the flash from Score nonetheless. So 2 summoner spells being used by Edward and by Score.
And that was exactly what I was talking about with using a flash early on. It was Edward that started that one off, though, going very, very aggressive. Top lane is going to be Darian on Shyvana against Leopard, who's been so very strong, playing obviously that Shen in the last matchup there. The wards coming down from those trinkets, and pretty standard stuff aside from that attempted flash hook from Edward earlier on.
Now Gambit is a team who loves to late invade on the blue buff. They've been doing it so often, and Diamond now, he's gonna go in with Edward and Genja towards this blue buff, it seems.
This is the combo they only ever do when they're on the blue side as well. This is their invade. This is how it works out. It's been hit and miss, that's for sure. And they're starting off their own blue buff as well. You can see Darian that's actually tanking that one out, not Alex Ich. He's going to go in towards it. They're both going to try and take that one, so they're taking the blues at the same time. It's worked out. Diamond's got his.
Yeah, and there was no vision for KT Bullets to actually spot them going in there. They were pinging them in the bush, and they actually see Edward moving down here with Genja, so they know the blue buff is gone. And Elise, look at her movement here. She was thinking for a second about going to Gambit's blue buff, but because they were expecting Shyvana to have taken it, as she wasn't in the top lane, they simply say, we lost pretty much both blue buffs.
Well, Darian was taken so low on that one. Leopard is pushing the lane. He's not hanging around. He's going to try and push it up towards the tower. Diamond's going to get himself that red buff. Darian will back off. What will he buy? Will he go for anything? It's just going to be more pots, if anything. Yes, it is. A little few health pots, and Leopard's happily shoving that wave up because the tower's going to do the damage for him. He's going to take out that minion wave. So Darian going to come into this lane. He has hit the level 2, of course. He would have got that off the blue buff all on his own, but he may well be down a little bit on farm.
Yeah, it's definitely not worth it for Darian with this blue buff because he's down in farm now. The XP Leopard can get here from the next wave is gonna make him level 3, and obviously Darian lost an entire wave to the turret here. So it's gonna be very hard for him. He did have the chance to go back and buy though, and he actually picked up a ward and a health pot together with his Thorn's blade. So he will have something, and now bot lane.
Score going very low from this one. Actually, we are going to see Diamond also taking a lot of damage. He goes off to the side. Insect going to get flayed back. Have they got the damage to lock up themselves? Another kill? No, not quite. Well, they do take down Score and pick up first blood.
And the flash forced away from Jinx by Edward and mid lane.
Yeah, he could be dead here. Actually, Alex taking one turret hit himself. Both of them going very, very low. Are they going to dare to jump in there? Alex does have his flash here. Rio needs to be careful.
And Alex actually have to be careful as well because Insect, he's moving in towards Alex here. There is a flash and he's on the right side of the lane at least to avoid the gank here, but Insect actually staying around.
No, he showed himself. Alex Ich may have made a mistake here. He's going to jump away and he's only got a tiny little leap. Bless him, but he is going to get away from this one. He's still sticking around, not going yet.
And one thing we didn't have time to touch on in the bot lane, the reason the gank worked out here for Diamond was the fact that Edward forced away the flash from Score at level 1, so the Jinx without flash, no mobility at all, simply meant Diamond could come down for the early gank with double buff and pick up first blood.
There is Ryu having another dig down on towards Alex, but Diamond this time is starting to come across. We're going to see Insect headed possibly up towards that top lane, see if he can get himself in on that one. Ryu, of course, no flash at this point, and up until level 6 could be open to a bit of damage as a Q is going to connect onto him. Have they got enough to finish him off? No, they don't manage it. Diamond takes too much damage from the turret.
Nobody had an ignite, that's the problem. Alex Ich had already used it in the previous fight. He had nothing to follow through. He couldn't get too close. Diamond was willing to tank the turret for another hit. Alex Ich probably could have got another basic attack down there, but Ryu, he gets away with it.
So Rio actually have been doing a very good job farming so far, keeping up with Alex, and yes, he had to force the flash now, he had to base. He's gonna return here, and it's gonna be an XP advantage for Alex because he's still staying in the lane while Kassadin was forced out. So it's gonna give him a small lead here, but I'm actually very surprised how well Kassadin have been keeping up early on CS.
Speaking of CS down in this bottom lane, all things even at this point, aside of course from the assists on both Genja and Edward and the death on Score. So that first blood came down on that lane, and still pretty low in terms of levels at this stage of things. Interested to see how it goes and how aggressive the Bullets are going to be at level 6 when they've got that potential to just burst one person down.
Yeah, level 6 is an important mark for them. What the issue for them here is actually Genji will do more damage than Score, but Gambit have to be careful because Insect, he's stealthing down here unnoticed because there's no ward from Gambit in this bush, so if they actually go in for the fight, Insect is there.
And you know Eddie's going to go aggressive. It's going to be a cocoon landing on Edward's face. He gets the play off, tries to put the lantern down for that little bit of extra shielding, but a quick repel from Insect should be enough. He dives on, gets the hook on the tower. Is he going to get the last hit? The tower damage comes in there, and they turn it on its head. Diamond is now coming down the river. They want to close on towards it. Diamond's looking hungry. He wants to get himself a kill. Maffa's going to be the target. He's got next to no mana. Score's going to be the one he goes for. Putting a lot of damage down on towards him. Genja is not close enough to follow through though.
Okay, a lot of details here. First of all, Edward's flashing top lane.
Top lane, that's going to be a kill. Or is it? The Ignite's not enough. And wow, Leopard gets away, and so does Darian.
Again, a lot of details about the gank here in bot lane. First of all, Edward's flash came up the second he needed it to actually flash away, and then he landed the hook, and listen to the crowd here cheering for Gambit. Anyhow, the hook from Edward, because he flashed into the turret range, he didn't manage to land it onto Elise or Insect, forcing him to stay under the turret, get an extra turret hit, so he died actually, get a few extra turret hits. And then when Diamond came down, Score's position to actually protect his AD carry, who didn't have flash, was absolutely beautiful. He was just staying in position so Diamond couldn't land a Sonic Wave.
Well, we are now level 6. There's a jump away from Alex Hitch. And couldn't quite land the cocoon onto him there. And meanwhile, Diamond is waiting off to the side. There's the ward coming in. Insect is going to go down to half HP. Alex jumping over the side. Oh, how is this one going to... Alex actually stealthing up from that one. Where are they going? On towards Diamond. He's going to get stunned up. The jumpers are down. Is he going to get taken? Yes, he is going to get finished off. That is a kill for Kassadin.
Well, that was a catastrophic error.
That was a
collection of errors there from both Diamond and Alex. It's not on the same page, and that maybe just shows the nerves that Gambit are starting to feel. And KT Bullets, well, they're not a team to just let that go. They're going to capitalize every time there's errors like that.
Yeah, not only did they give up a kill, they also used the flash on Alex, used the Ignite, so both summoners for him are gone, and they got absolutely nothing from it. Let's see if KT Bullets, with the level 6 casting, can punish it, but he's moving bot lane now.
Bot lane's in trouble. Rio's coming down there, and they're getting pressure already on him. He's going to have the force ball just to jump straight on towards him. It's going to be an easy pickup. He gets the hook again. Not this time the damage though, and they can keep on forking. Rift Walk will come through. Score's doing the damage. Rio's taking too many tower hits. He goes down.
Double kill for Genja.
Double kill for Genja. What is happening in this game? Diamond's coming around the back. Score's got barrier and flash available to him if he needs it, but Diamond's going to have a lot of damage. He can't take him. Score's doing the damage. He's got such a big minion wave with him.
Yeah, way too many minions for Diamond to actually go for the fight, and he wasn't level 6 to try and at least kick Score into the turret, so wisely enough he backs away and he picks up all the farm. But Genja getting the double kill there, actually a big misplay from KT Bullets on the dive. They could just have taken the one kill and backed off.
Crazy. I'm not sure why. Rio ended up getting that tower aggro there at the end. The lowest guy that could have possibly got that one. Crazy, crazy stuff. I actually just tried to watch that one back again, and yeah, it was a little bit unlucky for him. I think that Score wasn't the man that got that one. Either way, it's going to leave us at 440 kills. Just a 200 gold difference between these two teams. No turrets as of yet. Although, we have to say, Kassadin now 2-1-0, got himself a Seeker's Arm Guard. Obviously, up past level 6, he's going to be feeling so much more comfortable.
Something we haven't seen is the top lane, and look at the item. Leopard gone for that Brutalizer early on in that top lane. He really wants to bully Darian. You can see in terms of CS, the culling coming out, just having a little massage on towards KT Bull. It's not going to do a great level of damage at this time, but What is going on? A brutalizer start for Renekton. This is aggressive.
Well, it's very aggressive, and it also means he wants to be able to 1v1 Darien for as long as possible. We see often the Hydra on Renekton giving him some extra damage to actually extend the time he can 1v1 against Shyvana. Now he's gone for Brutalize instead, so it's more early game aggression. And if he ever gets onto Darien, he will do a lot of damage to him.
Oh, there's Rio once again jumping in on towards Alex Hitch, less than half HP. Not really about the kills here, maybe more about the Dragon. Insect has already cleared this one out using that pink ward. You can see that Alex has started to move down, and Gambit are going to have to check this one out.
And Rio actually is going to show himself top lane here because Darien is very overextended.
Oh, where are you going, Darien? Where are you going? He's going to run them a merry dance. He's actually pulled the mid laner away, so maybe they're going to try and make an advantage. They are going towards that dragon, so Gambit trying to take the dragon from this delay, and you can see Darien, we've seen him do this so many times before. He is going to give up the death, but it's a case of can he delay enough for that dragon to go down? Rio taking some serious damage from this one, actually. Darien, that ultimate will run out in a moment. It is going to be a death, but the dragon for Gambit.
Yeah, not worth it at all for KT Bullets, putting 2 members up there and giving up the dragon, and now Gambit going towards the 2 members in the bot lane.
Going for this 3-man dive. Can they get in there? They're waiting for the minions so they can get in range. They actually going towards Genja. There is a kill with a super mega death rocket score. Tries to flash back. Edwards tanking on the turret here. He gets a double kill in the end. Are they going to push around? Elise actually started coming down, then backed away with Insect there. They might have been able to get a couple more.
So stick around. I was going to say, if they stick around, Insect's already there. We see Ryu coming down to flash and, of course, that Rift Walk, but they do back away. Defishy, bro, what is going on in this game?
I have absolutely no idea. People are running around everywhere, ganking each other. The only thing I know is the last 30 seconds for Gambit, picking up the dragon, and now you got double kill onto Alex on K6. It couldn't be much better. Well, okay, Genja could have survived, but that's about it.
Pushing out that bottom lane. A couple of moments of silence, I think, after this one. Bit of a crazy matchup so far as Genja going to go heavy on towards Ryu from this one. Hope he's not feeling too confident with that one. We'll have to see. Ryu deciding, okay, maybe he is a little bit stronger than I thought. Edward's there now as well, so I should definitely not get involved.
And we really have to highlight the fact that Rio managed to actually stay even in farm early on, but Darien might be caught out again.
He gets caught with a cocoon. You can see Insect coming in, is going to pounce, but Darien has got the tower to fall back to this time. Doesn't need to make a run straight in towards KT Rolls to B's base. That mid lane turret's been left pretty open, and the AD carry in mid lane are looking to try and take something from this one. We do see Alex Hitch nearby. Diamond's going to make his way around the side. They're putting the pressure on towards him, but it's a tower hit. The hook on towards Mappa, not really what they wanted. They do manage to get the play, but they just don't have the damage combos. A little bit of misplays from Gambit.
And look who's waiting around the corner here, Insect. He just wanted Gambit to go all in for the fight, and he could have joined in, but Mappa actually decided to flash away. And Genja, he's just left in this bottom lane, going towards the turret. Of course, Kassadin will be coming down there and can pick up the farm.
And actually Genja wisely backing away from this one. He's trying to push those minions up into the turret, but Rio, as you mentioned, will get down there in time and be able to soak up this farm. He's 76 to 103 CS behind as Gambit start to move through the KTB jungle.
Top lane also being invaded. We can see Insect coming in there this time around. He jumps away, Darien. Where's he going to run to this time? He's got Mappa coming up the river with that stun available, but he's going straight for KT Bullets jungle. Darien is on a jungle path once again. They've taken away the blue buff already, and now they're pushing the mid lane turret. KT Bullets are just being drawn away by the Swag Lord himself, and they're taking objectives every single time. He's been stunned up, he's been cocooned, he's been rocketed in the face, but again, Gambit take a turret.
Yeah, what are you doing, KT Bullets? Killing Darien over and over is going to give you nothing if you lose the blue buff and the mid turret for it. Gambit Gaming are just taking full advantage of the fact that for some reason KT Bullets, they absolutely hate Darien.
They love to kill him, as I think a lot of teams do, but they'll generally, at least by now, figured out that Darien is that troll master and he's just going to run through and try and get you on base. However, we do see the Bullets replying here, getting a turret of their own.
From my own experience, killing Darien again and again, over and over, every time you play Gambit, it actually gets quite boring in the end and you just stop ganking him.
Why did you ever do it?
I killed him a few times.
Scumbag stealing your
2v1,
CS away
always killed him
from your,
2v1.
freeze there.
Well, yeah, I stole a lot of kills. That's actually true.
Well, most mid laners, supports these days do I think they are mid laners, actually. Ryu's going to get engaged on by Genja here, just taking a little poke towards him. Didn't go full in, trying to wait to see if he can get any support. Diamond was close by, but insisted on taking the red, it seems, first. And Ryu is getting himself farming that bottom lane. Alexic, while he's continuing to do the same, with that 2 kills, has got himself the Tiamat, going to go towards that Ravenous Hydra. Tends to be the standard mid lane build these days for the Western world.
And Genja, he's just waiting here in the bush. There's of course a pink ward, so he's not spotted out. He didn't actually see Annie coming in as well, so he's doing a very smart job just staying here.
That was a mistake.
A little bit.
Yeah, I think so as well. I don't think it was supposed to be Diamond to have that blue buff. Alexic, nonetheless, doesn't get it this time around. Maybe next time he'll be lucky enough to have that one. He's currently just less than 30 CS in the lead. And let's have a look at Darian Cam here. He's currently doing the golems on the top side of the KTB jungle. And look at it, the 3 of them are coming again. Well,
Darren actually have to wait a little bit before dying because there's nothing off for Gambit to take.
Well, our friends in Korea would like to call this proxy farming. We tend to call it farming between the towers, but Darian, he's not falling for it. He uses that Dragon's Descent and gets away. But down the bottom lane, we do see a kill for the KT Bullets. This time around, they take down Genja.
Yeah, and the difference here is the fact that Gambit wasn't in a position to either take a dragon because it wasn't up or in position for any turrets, and that's why KT Bullets could actually move multiple members up there without losing anything.
Alexic making his way down river. I thought he was going to jump on map, but we're just going to see Genja taken down. Oh, he went too aggressive.
Yeah.
So I actually think he knew there was a pink ward there. That's why he dashed in to try and kill it fast, but he had no idea 2 members from KT Bullets were waiting there.
So the Dragon is coming up in less than half a minute's time. We can see that the pink ward's already down by the KT Bullets. Insect going to do the wipe before, no doubt, heading back towards that Dragon area. We can see that Genja has to go towards that top lane. And Leopard is going to be coming down towards the Dragon area. The question is, are they going to fight for this?
Look at the movement from Genji here, instantly going away from the top lane because the Dragon is up in a few seconds. The rest of Gambit is ready to fight for it. We should be seeing the very first big team fight of the game.
They're going to go on towards Darian. He doesn't really care, as he never does. The ward placement, the hook on Leopard, not really the one they wanted though. They just let him go. When you hook a big crocodile, that's not something you're really looking forward with the fishing rod. Instead, they're going to go and force KT Bullets off the Dragon. Now we're going to see Ryu goes in, gets a good burst combo on towards Diamond. That may give Gambit some second thoughts.
An intense standoff here for this one as well. Almost lined up there. Bit of a showdown in the river. Dragon going to be started here again for the KT Bullets. There is Diamond going in. Flash timbers though, right to the back. The damage is intense here. Darian is going to go down. Surely they're going to get Edward as well. Actually, Insect falls low. They do manage to kill off Leopard. Alexic will fall as well. There's the shutdown. 4 men are dead. There's the slow on towards Genja. No flashes to chase in. It's going to be about the zap and whether Rio can get on top of him. In the end, they decide against it. 4 for 2, and they're going to get the Dragon.
Yeah, such a great engage coming in from Annie here, starting the whole team fight. Leopard follows up with the Tapers into the face of Gambit, and once the team fight broke out, we have obviously the Jinx passive being procced very early. She could continue doing damage, and then Cassidy coming in as well.
And look at Cassidy, he's at 5-on-3, started off Deficio.
Yeah, so notice the fight here, instant flash Tapers on 3 members. They don't get Genji, but they get still free, and they get them so low. Look at Darian here, he's having no ultimate, and there's nothing he can actually do in the fight. He goes down as the first member, and now passive on to score, of course, and the rest of KT Bullets can just roll over. And when a Kassadin is left untouched in a team fight, he will always be there to clean up, and that's what he's doing here. Actually getting the kill onto Alex, and then he can chase onto Genja, not picking him up though.
No, you got Diamond and Alex, and that's really all they needed. And once a Kassadin gets going, it's a bit of a problem, a scary, scary problem that Gambit are going to have to deal with because they are 1-0 down in this matchup already. They need to win this one. They need to go 2-0, and Diamond may be biting off more than he can chew here. He needs the safeguard to his buddy. Instead, he has to use that ward. We do see Alex going aggressive though. He's going to jump up to score, gets himself the reset, jumps away.
And yeah, here we see the damage from Kha'Zix onto Jinx. If he can actually get to her, he will be able to kill her. But there's still the issue that this Kassadin have to die. And who's going to kill him if Kha'Zix is jumping to Jinx? I don't know where Gambit will have the damage to take both of them down, but it's definitely what they need to do in the fights.
Once again, we see Darian luring a couple of them down towards this bottom lane. Diamond was just walking back. Insect did just turn back around though and head straight off and towards his jungle. And actually no one directly in this mid lane now to stop Gambit pushing up there, but maybe a little bit too deep for them, to be honest, with both the top and bottom outer turrets still in play. They have got quite a lot of wards down, I have to say, inside of the Bullets jungle.
Yeah, and here, the thing for Gambit, just touching quickly on the Genji build, he's gonna go for Infinity Edge once again, and then possibly later on the build to Rune King. It seems to be his favorite build, and he's gonna go on pretty much every single AD carry.
No matter what champion, yeah.
No matter what champion, no matter what he's against. But looking here again at the combos when we go into the late game, for Gambit's side, Shyvana of course will outskill the Renekton, and she's going to be very, very strong in the team fights. Kha'Zix, we know how good he is late game when he can get the resets. Lee Sin to set up some plays against the Jinx, and of course Lucian Fresh, they are good in the late game, but the Jinx is going to be absolute monster, and the Kassadin is going to be a monster, so that's going to be an issue for Gambit, and they need to get an early target down, so you have to reset onto Alex, otherwise I don't think they have enough damage to actually kill all the important members from KT Bullets.
There's the blue buff, which was supposed to go to Alex last time around. Diamond did finish it off, though. I don't think that was planned. This time, though, Alex is going to get his hands on that one. And if we look at new CS here, he's actually kept it to a very reasonable level since that very early game.
And again, another thing we just have to notice with Genji, he's going to delay his last Whisper by such a long time. And when a Renekton is going to be in his face with the Sunfire, with, of course, the Ninja Tapis, it's going to take Genji quite a while to actually kill him, unless he's having the help from the rest of Gambit's side. But look again, all the physical damage on them. Kha'Zix, of course, and now Darren actually fighting against Leopard.
He's going to just go duel in, keep on to go there. Insect once again coming to the rescue down that river, down the side. He also has Mappa coming in. Again, Darren needs to be careful he doesn't get baited into this one. 0-3-2. I think he's going to be a little bit cautious. Yes, they see him with the ward. Diamond also coming in. He's spotted out by that ward. So I think everyone will be defensive. I tell a lie. KT Bullets want this turret. They're all coming in full force.
Yeah, and Gambit actually spotted them at the blue buff as well, so they know every single member from KT Bullets is towards this bot lane turret. They want to get the last outer turret down.
And they should be able to take it as well. Gambit's starting to move in with a few men. Ryu's already left here and has headed back up towards the river. Jinx, Elise, Annie, all in a big procession there, moving up the river. And actually in the enemy jungle, which Mafia needs to be a little bit cautious about. And
they're actually checking the Baron.
Yeah, I'm not sure why Mappa would go that way if he's not planning on warding anyway. That just seemed like a bit of a danger to me, but nonetheless.
Jinx used the rocket, like you said, they were checking the Baron, then you saw KT, they looked like they had that bottom turret, and they were just thinking, why is this so easy? How are we taking it so easily? They were lulled by Gambit's basically poor positioning and expected to see them at the Baron.
We're just back to the whole point of Gambit's combo with being all physical damage here, and the fact that we're gonna get such a late last Whisper onto Genji. It can be a big issue in the team fights. We actually see Alex already picking up his last Whisper, so he knows he needs the armor penetration or he will do so little damage to the tanky members of KT Bullets.
What I think you mean is this build is gonna delay his Stinger.
True.
Not sure if we'll see another Stinger. It didn't quite work out.
I really hope he's gonna build the last Whisper. That's all I can say. I really hope he's gonna build the last Whisper.
Well, we'll see about that one as time goes on. We've got 1 minute until the dragon comes up from this one. Darian just enjoying his farm, but he's behind, to be honest. Leopard's done a very solid farming job, up to 220 CS already. Some fire cape in there with that brutalizer, and he's actually sat on 2,000 gold as well for the next time he goes back.
Oh, they're trying to bait this one. Alex Itch is waiting. Diamond's off the side. Insect is coming down to try and help out. I'm pretty sure they know he's there, but you can see Darian, he is acting as pure bait right now. Both Diamond and Alex, they want to go for it. Mappa's there as well, and they've got to realize something's up. This guy's crazy, but they're going to jump in towards it. They don't get enough damage down towards Leopard. Diamond's going to come in. Who's he going to land the kick on? Gets it on towards Leopard, follows through. The ulti kick comes in there. They don't get the reset. Dominus pops it. They're still trying to get the damage down. Now they get the reset. Is it going to be enough to follow through? Kassadin coming down towards the river. Edward throwing out the hook wildly, trying to keep Ryu at bay here. They will get caught out by a null sphere, but they will back away. Damage done. They got themselves a kill.
A very nice move by Gambit. They saw Jinx was up in the top lane farming and also spotted Ryu moving from the mid lane, so they knew the position of KT Bullets is why they could go for this fight. Now, 14 seconds on Renekton, he's dead, and the dragon is up, and Gambit, they're nowhere near.
Yeah, I'm guessing that, well, died at Dragon last time, so they had a rough time running, that's for sure. As we are going to see them coming, but they don't manage to get the seal. There is a repel and a flash instantly in for Insect. Good cocoon on towards Alex, but will he be able to escape? Slow coming down. Alex gets one. We do see Score pick up Edward, though, on the ramp into the blue buff.
And the fact that Alex can continue picking up kills is so good for Gambit. And man going again.
Good stun. They don't get enough. And Ryu has gone down. Big chunk of gold going to Alex Inch. They're jumping on towards Score. They don't get a reset. Leopard going really deep. He gets Alex Inch down. They can turn this one back on his head, and they have to kick Leopard away from this one. The damage really only from Genja with that Infinity Edge, but those chompers perfectly placed from KT Bullets. Blue buff may well get stolen by Gambit. And this game is far from over.
And these team fights are going to be all about Alex. If he can get in there, get the kill he wants, get the reset, and avoid dying. He's doing so much damage to the members from KT Bullets with this early Last Whisper, of course. Or not early, but with the Last Whisper, now the Mortal Mortius. So he's having some more magic resist as well to survive some of the bursts from Kassadin and the burst from Annie. So Gambit Gaming's team fights, Alex, keep an eye on him. If he can stay alive, if he can get the resets, Gambit have a chance to win this game.
Now we see Darian finally looking to get rid of that outer turret, the last outer turret here. Not quite got the minions there to help him out, but he's going to revisit them as they start to stream in towards this bottom lane. Leopard's going to be too late down on that bottom side, and that will be turret number 3 of the game here for Gambit. Meanwhile, though, we see up at the Baron, everything being warded out, paint being put down at the front there by the Bullets. Are they going to be able to bait Gambit into this one? They may even decide to go for Alex Itch. Ryu getting up front there. The rest of the Bullets are just off there on the side.
And meanwhile now, blue buff actually started by KT Bullets. They pick it up for Insect. Very nice for them. No blue buff for Alex. He won't have the extra cooldown reduction. And they're going for the fight.
They're going in. They catch out Alex Inch and Edward. Alex managed to jump away. Edward popping that ultimate down. The chopper's not quite going to catch on. Edward will be the sacrificial lamb. And now they're going to continue going. Leopard taking a lot of damage from the Cullen, but Genja is so low from this one. Again, Edward. Darian loses his ultimate. Actually catches all 4 members. Fast pulse dive on there. Nicely played. Ryu catching on towards Genja. And this is going to be the turret for KT Bullets.
And the chasing potential of the combo from KT Bullets with both Jinx and the Kassadin simply means every time they get a pick in the fights, they can continue going. Genja, he was so far away, trying to escape, but Ryu just jumped after him with the flash and picked up the kill.
They're going to keep on pushing. They're going towards the inhibitor turret. Diamond taking so low from that one. The inhibitor turret taking a lot of damage, but Alex is back up here. They have to get away. They could have a good chase potential, but not the kick landing. And Darian and Edward, well, they're going to chase, but Bullets back off.
And notice in this teamfight how Leopard, he's so far into the backline of Gambit because he can tank the damage from Genja. He can tank the damage from whoever is with Genja in there. There's no Last Whisper. He actually bought a stinger. I'm out.
Yeah, I told you. That build was just delaying his stinger, that's all.
I refuse to ever talk about Genja builds again, but the fact that Leopard can actually stay so far into the backline of Gambit, tank multiple members, means that the rest of KT Bullets can just kill the front line of Gambit every single time and then chase on to Genja.
Ooh, this could be dangerous. The Bullets waiting up on that backside. The ward. Was that supposed to go over the wall?
Ryu fully stacked off the side there. He's waiting. The hook's going to come out, not going to land from Edward. That could have turned things around. They're going to jump on towards it. Cocoon instead for Darian, and Gambit have to step away from this one. They've done a relay race into the fountain, KT Bullets, so they are all fully stacked, all fully healthy. Gambit have no advantage anymore.
Crazy tense moment from this one as Alex Hitch dives on top of Score. He's not going to be able to escape this one. They've thrown out Tibbers and they are going to be able to kill off Alex. There's a repel. He takes the lantern up to the side. Oh, but the ignite from Ryu finishes that one off. Can they get any more? Leopard comes into the front. Genja has to back away as the kick comes down towards Insect. The box is down from Edward, but he's off onto the side. Insect has gone down. Edward is going to fall. Ryu is looking to finish off Darian. He's still very tanky, but he's slows coming out, not going to let him get away, and there is Ryu picking up a double. Look for Diamond, but he was still too healthy. 4 for 2 in favor of KTB.
And KT Bullets are now pushing down this turret. They will be able to get it. The Tippers can tank a few of the hits. Only Diamond is there to try and stop them.
Well, will he be able to stop them? That's the question. He's taking A lot of hits on that turret. The turret goes down. He has to flash away. He's going to get flashed and caught by Leopard. And Ryu comes in. One more hit. The Null Sphere does it. That is the ace. Alexic is back up. He's got his boots on. He's going to be charging to try and get a kill.
And the team fights for KT Bullets are just superior. The fact that Alex actually went in, killed Jinx early on. Yes, he got caught in by a very nice cocoon from Insect, and then the rest of KT Bullets went on to him. But the fact that he can kill the AD carry, and they still lose the team fight.
Alexic jumped on Ryu, and the teleport went back at the split second he used his claws. That was close.
Close stuff there from Alex, who's going to have that load of farm down on the bottom side as well. He's up to 240 now. More of Malmortius, the last Whisper, Tiamat, and a Chain Vest. Is he headed up towards that Guardian Angel?
There's 327 armor on Renekton. There's no last Whisper but a Stinger on Genja. Now, I would actually like to see how long it will take him to kill Renekton 1v1, and if he's actually ever gonna kill him.
I think he'd probably die. His own health would tick off that Thornmail before it happens. Darian coming in once again. Oh, he's been caught out the stun. Comes out the lanterns there. It's enough to get away, but KT Bullets are starting to run rings around Gambit.
Oh, wow. That is a lot of damage on towards Genja. Super Mega Death Rocket came in. Didn't get them the kill, but Insect will be able to get that one. There is a cocoon landing. Darian surely not going to be able to escape. He uses his ultimate, but the slow comes out from Score. That's going to allow him to get excited and push around this side, and they can take this inhibitor now, no worries.
And they can go towards the Baron afterwards, and they should be able to pick it up. Gambit can try and steal with Diamond, but that will be the last hope for them. They need to try and stop this Baron if KT Bullets are going there.
Well, KT Bullets get that inhib, they back away, and really they can go wherever they want. We've been talking about Kassadin all weekend and wondering who eventually will go big with it. Ryu, 11-8 so far, has worked so well for him, and getting those kills early on. KT Bullets start the Baron.
And simply the fact he could get farm early on against Alex, where he was supposed to be shut down. But let's see what happens here. Diamond is coming around the edge, and a hook onto Mappa.
Oh, Mappa is surely going to go down from this one. Actually, no, flashes away. Alex is going to have to try and back up, but Score chasing in on top of him. Ryu is going to be the one that chases off as well. Alex, I think, has escaped this one, and the KT Bullets backing away once again.
It interrupted the Baron, though. It did the job. That's what they needed to do. Baron didn't go down. Gambit lived to fight another day.
Exactly. Trading a 0-7 support to stop the Baron is perfectly fine for Gambit here. It gives them the chance actually to set up a new team fight, or at least try and set up a pick onto KT Bullets. But we need to remember this combo here with both Jinx and Kassadin, and of course the very tanky Renekton. It's going to be very hard for Gambit in the team fights, and they really need to catch someone out of position before they can go in, because 5 against 5, KT Bullets are simply stronger at the moment.
Well, 24-14 kills in favor of KTB. The gold, there's not a massive difference, all things considering. There's Darian. What's he going to do this time? He uses a dragon, but he's not escaping this one. All 5 men there from the KT Bullets going to hunt him down. It's now a 5 versus 4. This is surely Baron.
Yeah, Alex is actually home guarding from the base here. He wants to join the team, and Diamond once again, he can try and steal it, but it should be the best for Gambit.
Mappa with that stun, Tibbers available. Edward comes in again, they try and catch on towards him, the flay being used. Diamond getting caught out, he's going to be the focus target. The rocket does not land, but it doesn't matter, the choppers will come in there. Alex jumps in, does not get himself a kill, does not get himself a return. He does finally, but he's got the ghost. The Guardian Angel's coming to come out there. Genja's running away, running for his life. The reset comes out, but he gets quickly shut down. It's Lee Sin, sorry, Lee Sin picks it up, it's Elise. Well, technically it was Insect, so I was kind of thinking Lee Sin.
Now, it's not over just yet. Genja's still being chased down, and he's, I think, going to escape. Leopard doesn't even care. He's got about 3 million armor once again, but the Bullets may look to close out the game right here.
They stop the Baron once again. They do have Darian alive. They have Genja alive. Has this delayed it once again? Darian, just stop getting caught. That's all you need to do. They get themselves a Nexus turret, and they back away.
Well, I have to question the fact that KT Bullets didn't actually just return to the Baron and try to pick it up finally. Decided to get a Nexus turret for it. But again, Baron is still up. KT Bullets can return there now. Force Gambit once again to move out of the base. Once again to fight them. And every single time Gambit has moved up to try and stop KT Bullets, multiple members have died. Yes, they've stopped the Baron, but they just die every single time. So it's in favor of KT Bullets. And it might even be in their favor that Baron is still up, because they can go there again and force Gambit to move.
Well, Genja's finished off that Zephyr now, and
good for him.
to be fair, we've got a lot of stuns. You've got the tenacity there.
I don't care. Joe, I don't care.
Okay.
I don't care.
35% less stun.
I don't
and
care.
slow. No, okay. They probably need the armor. Oh, Darian.
Darren caught again. They're going to get on the back line. They've got onto Mappa. They're going to try and do enough damage. Diamond's going to run away from this one. That's the focus there. They split opposite directions. Ryu not too sure which way to go on this one. He is going to run away. Meanwhile, Leopard's being signaled out here. And Gambit are doing work, but they have not got the damage. Alex isn't available to get kills down on him. He finally comes in, gets Insect down there. He's going to jump back on towards Insect. Gets himself, no! Insect repels away from the damage. Oh, the cocoon lands. Oh, the humanity right now. Alex is just being ripped apart by the jungler from KT Bullets. He's got nowhere to run, and Ryu's going to come in and close the deal.
And that was such a messy team fight now. Ryu, he should be able to pick this one up unless Alex can actually jump towards him.
Didn't fancy it. Didn't fancy it. He could have jumped on towards him. Insect's going to be taking down the inhibitor. And again, KT Bullets, they're toying with Gambit, I feel here. Gambit are getting close to winning these team fights, though.
Getting closer, we have to remember though, Jinx weren't there when the team fight actually started. She came down very late, actually also stepped into the box, so was delayed even more. Had she been there from the start, it would have been a completely different story because they missed out on all her damage.
So, KT Bullets will have another go at Baron. It's been interrupted a couple of times. And mostly by Darian just coming in there and then turning away and showing them that they really like to kill Darian. He's currently 176. Maffa here going to have to be using that talisman just to run away, and the Q was very, very close to actually connecting, but Gambit moving themselves up towards that Baron area. The rest of the KT Bullets starting to come in. Scorley, the one that's furthest away at this point, because we are going to see actually Diamond diving in a little bit on towards Insect and Leopard. And Alex now going to try and burst down Ryu. Has he got the damage for this one? There's the Zonya's going to be used. Alex pops his ultimate from this one. Super Mega Death Rocket comes across the side. Diamond is going to be in there as well. Who are they going to go for? They decide on Diamond. He stands on the chompers. The slow actually not connecting onto him there. And there is the kill on towards Insect. A shot down. Leopard now going to be chased down. The play coming in onto him. And that is 3 kills for Gambit. And truly the Baron for them now.
So what on earth is happening?
Gambit had the position around Baron there, got some good wards up, and then Alex, he went towards the top lane, no vision on him, and as soon as Ryu used his teleport to farm, or his ultimate to farm, Alex just jumped him.
The crowd certainly have a favorite in this tournament, and Gambit now have the Baron. They're only 2,000 gold behind. They do not have that middle inhibitor. What are they going to do with this one? Because they have the ability clearly to get the kills.
But this have to be the wake-up call for KT Bullets to stop toying around. They've been having so many options to get the Baron, so many options to either push further down the base of Gambit, and they didn't use it. And now, very, very good use of the vision control around Baron for Gambit side. That's why they could sneak up there, get the kill onto Kassadin, and then follow it up and get more kills.
Oh dear. Score down the bottom lane. He's getting himself some farm. That's what we're looking towards. Meanwhile, Gambit are continuing with this Baron buff. What will they do? They've got themselves so much vision across that top half of the lane, but they've got nowhere to push, nowhere to go, nowhere to do this. They have to try and get some more picks. That's what's been working for them. And KT Bullets, as you said, they've realized the danger of the situation, and they are staying very much as a group of 5. They know they can't get picked off by the likes of Alex, by the likes of Diamond, which they saw was that full gank on Ryu. And once that mid laner went down, there were some damage issues for KT Bullets.
Well, Kassadin is having 13 of the kills, so of course he's a big part of KT Bullets' damage-dealing champions here, but we actually see them staying in their base, or staying around their own base. They don't want to risk anything by going out here. They don't want to fight this Baron buff, Gambit, and they don't want to be picked off. So they're just staying safe here, waiting for the Baron buff to expire. They can do this because they're still slightly ahead. Actually, after this Dragon, it's going to be very, very close now.
Dragon goes down, and look at the goal. Actually, just about 100 or 200 that separates these two teams at this point. As you mentioned, the Bullets just waiting until that buff is run out. Ryu has actually just finished his Rabadon's death cap, which leaves him with 672 AP. It's quite a lot.
So we'll see if that Zephyr build works out for Genja at the moment. It's looking good. He's starting to turn the game around, if you had to say about it, because I don't know. He's won one game with it already. He maybe wins a second one, and then it'll be all sorts of trouble. Oh, Cocoon does land on Diamond. Darian trying to force in. And you can see actually KT Bullets doing a great job at defending. Their inhibitor has now spawned, so those super minions they've been trying to push against in that mid lane are going to weaken.
KT Bullets are just waiting it out. They don't want to fight again as long as there's the Baron buff onto Gambit, and it's a smart move because they need to realize if they lose one more team fight, all of a sudden Gambit can actually just finish the game.
Well, we'll see whether it works out. They have to try and make a push here. The Baron has, what, a minute left on it. Genja just off at the side there, keeping those waves pushing in. And you can see, just normal siege minion now, that's all remaining. The hook not landing, so really they got a lack of engagement. We've already seen how strong Leopard is there. Insect just dodging away from that combo, more of a misplay from Alex more than anything. Chomper's going down, they keep trying to get some damage on towards it. The hook on to Leopard, they don't want that one. Those Chompers doing a grand job. Alex really wants to get something. Jump in, just jump out. He's got his Guardian Angels up, he's willing to sacrifice himself.
Well, are they going to dive in for this one? The Bullets don't want to lose this inner turret. They've made that pretty clear with that last stand around that they did. Diamond off to the side, Alex off to the side. They've got vision of the two of them as Maffa puts in another ward, and that not quite going to be cleared out in time. As Gambit step forward once again towards the turret. The hook's so close to landing a couple of times here.
And it's so hard for Gambit to get some damage onto the turret because Genja, he's the one who's supposed to do it, but if he moves in too close, there's the possibility of the tippers from Annie. There's Kassadin jumping to choke to simply do a lot of damage to him, so he doesn't feel safe enough going in there, and that's smart because it will be the opening for KT Bullets to actually engage.
They need to rotate down towards his bottom lane. There is the Baron buff now worn off. They're continuing to keep this pressure on. KT Bullets may try and make a play off this one. They've realized that the buff is down. They do manage to go in towards it and look at the damage on Genja. Now they're going to see KT Bullets. They're going to pursue. Talisman's both being popped in. They're jumping on towards Darian. Meanwhile, coming around the backside, the kick comes in. Alex jumps in. Who's he going to catch on towards? Score's being taken low. Score goes down. They're jumping on Insect. Insect taken low. Does manage to get him into double cover. Darian. That's going to be 3 now. Alex jumps in. He gets himself back.
Wow.
They jump on Leopard. This could be the ace for Gambit. The hook comes out from Edward, and they do get him down. They're just going to chase on, and it's an ace for Gambit. This game, what the hell? I don't know what's going on. Gambit in the home grounds against Korean teams just turned things around.
And Genja actually got bursted down instantly, but meanwhile that happened, the rest of Gambit turned around and just killed everyone.
Absolutely insane stuff here. 40 minutes on the clock, 20 seconds spawn time. I don't think they've got enough here to finish the game, do they? I don't think they're going to go for it. We're going to take the inhibitor down, and they're going to back away. So, inhib is down. There's an open inhib on the other side. Let's not forget, Gambit only have one Nexus turret.
And look at this fight here. Notice Genja, he's actually having barrier ready, but Ryu, he wants to kill him, and he's going to burst him for so much. Genja, he's not ready for it. Notice Kassadin coming in here. Jumping into Genja, instant dead. But then the rest of Gambit, Diamond coming in from behind, and then Alex jumping into the face of the 3 members, being knocked up by the ultimate from Diamond. And once he gets the kill onto Score, who actually flashes into the wall, not over it, he gets the reset, he can continue the damage, and from here on out, Gambit are so tanky and having so much damage that there's nothing KT Bullets can do to turn it around. As soon as Jinx is dead, the fight is over for them.
And that flay again, Edward catching 3 members of KT Bullets into that flay. And well, the chase on Leopard took a little bit longer, but the hook came out from Eddie once again. So, Baron will be up in around about a minute's time once this replay runs its course. And we can see this is possibly going to be the focus, but look at the position. KT Bullets, they're looking for a backdoor.
They're going to backdoor it.
It's going to be a base race.
They're going to go around the backside. Gambit are on the top of the map. They've got Leopard in the mid lane right now. Leopard's going up there. He's going to be the one that's going to stop them from recalling from this. They've taken down the inner turret. There is Leopard spotted by it. They're going to use the talisman. They're going for this one. Leopard is going to be chased by Gambit. They don't have time. They can't do that. They cannot go for Leopard. They're trying to recall right now, but they're going in for the Nexus turrets. Can you believe it? The KT Bullets go straight through into the base. Genja comes down as well, but the Nexus goes down. Oh my God! Can you believe it? The KT Bullets in amazing fashion go through to the grand final of the Intel Extreme Masters World Championship.
But wow, you have to give Gambit so much respect for coming back into this game. And then KT Bullets with this smart move, unnoticed, moving all the way around, and Leopard, he stayed there as bait. Gambit went on to him, delayed the recalls and everything, and they could then finish off the game for KT Bullseye. But Gambit, they deserved everything. They played so well trying to come back in this game.
What a game! What a finish! Katowice always delivers with the games, that's for sure. Last year we had Peke going crazy. This year, it's a backdoor.
Always Kassadin.
Always Kassadin. Gambit taking a bow to the crowd. They have been magnificent in the support of Gambit. Of course, they went so big last year, but this year it was a step too far. And the KT Bullets, they are through to the grand finals up against Fnatic, which will be happening tomorrow.
And what a gutting way to lose there as well for Gambit after doing so well to come back in that one overall. And then for that to happen, they saw Leopard and like, oh look, there's Renekton, we can catch him out, we can kill him, it gives us a 5-on-4. They couldn't recall quick enough because of the fact that Leopard's in there. And they run straight into the base and finish it off. Absolutely insane stuff.
And it's the worst possible way to lose a game. Seeing people just come behind you, backdoor away, and actually finish your Nexus when you just won the last big team fight and you are actually moving towards the enemy base, about to go for the very, very last fight of the game to win it, and then they just move around you. Sneaking in, and they kill your Nexus.
I don't know what it is about Kassadin in Katowice that brings another amazing moment. Last year was Peke doing it. This time we see the KT Bullets pulling off an amazing move. Either way, a massive, massive win for them. An incredible match to watch. They're going to be playing Fnatic tomorrow in the grand final. For us, though, we're going to head over to the analysis desk, and I hope we're going to be seeing a replay or two of that end.
I'm going to be brutally honest with you. If we were to put a replay on, it would put a damper on the mood. That game was mind-blowing. And I want to be very, very honest, it was very sloppy. From the very get-go, we've seen players going ham across the map. We've seen misplays, we've seen dives, we've seen ganks, we've seen counter-ganks. There is so much to talk about. There is literally not enough time for us to break down that entire match.
But at the same time, though, Kassadin, anyone?
Kassadin, Intel Extreme Masters World Championship, the Spodek Arena, it's just something magical about those back doors.
I do have to say, Ryu actually managed to make Kassadin work. From the Kassadins we've seen so far, they hasn't been looking that strong. Ryu was actually looking pretty strong in the lane.
I mean, let's go back to the beginning of the game, and it's really hard to analyze the game as long as this. So a couple of things. Jinx's flash burn, good pressure by Gambit, exploited the vulnerability of Jinx. Even later in the game, she got caught. However, what a reaction from KDB. They reacted to the plays really well. In the mid lane, Kassadin went even against Kha'Zix. Should never happen. Don't want to put any blame on Alex Easter, but he kind of misplayed twice. But then he picked himself up so well after that. His mid-game in Kha'Zix was unbelievably good, and this is why you don't want to give Kha'Zix to Alex Easter, even after not getting the first kill on Kassadin and maybe having the questionable flash earlier in the game. He just erased all doubt why he's such a great Kha'Zix player with his plays in the mid-game. And then when you think it's finally over, Gambit comes back, stalls the Baron 4 times. You think, why is he running in and dying? They end up taking the Baron, and then, oh yeah, this happens in the late game.
Yeah, and this is against a team who is particularly well known for their Baron pit play. Earlier in the game itself, KTB actually had a very good Baron control, but thanks to that repeated aggression from Gambit, they managed to find a pick, grab their own Baron, extend the game further. Earlier in the match, though, Darian took KT Bullets on a nice walk around Summoner's Rift multiple times, showing us the scenery, showing us part of the architecture inside the red base. Sadly, a base that Gambit didn't spend too much time in. But, you know, Darian's plays, every time he did take everyone on a leash around the map, it got a dragon, it got a tower, making the best of a bad decision, a bad position, I guess. But, you know, it is Darian. That is Darian. That's him at his swag lord best.
Yeah, it is, and they capitalized as much as they could, despite like Kassadin actually being 4-1 in the early game and actually being incredibly strong.
I mean, there's a few mistakes here and there to harp on. Something that comes to mind is what Froggen was very adamant about in Cast. Rio's activable items, but then again, he barely needed to use them properly because he was so fed already. I just want to note that both these teams played so well. It was amazing to watch these team fights. We were literally, all of us were jumping up and down.
Before we just touch on Rio's items, I have to be honest. I don't necessarily agree that they played so well. And if you go back and if you look at these games,
Yeah, they made a lot of mistakes though, but it was
just
exciting.
Yes, it was incredibly exciting, but it did feel very sloppy. It did feel like, it actually felt like you could feel a tension. Is the best way to describe it. When you were looking at the individual players' decisions, it was kind of like, you could see they were panicking. Now, Rio and his actives, Seraph's Embrace, his Hourglass. Froggen, you were very adamant that Rio's timings were not ideal. What was he doing not so great?
So, as Kassadin, if you are the one engaging the fight and you have Seraph Embrace, you jump in, you use your combo, and while that's going on, you use your Seraph Embrace so you don't get bursted. If you're not using your Seraph Embrace, you instantly use your Hourglass to get your ultimate off cooldown again. If you don't do it, you will die instantly. You saw at his own blue buff, he basically tried to engage the fight with Annie. What happens is, he goes in. He doesn't use Seraph Embrace. He doesn't use Hourglass. He just instantly pops. And that was exact same reason Gambit actually got a Baron. Alexis jumps onto Ryu. Ryu doesn't Hourglass the jump, so he takes a massive load of damage. So all the Hourglasses is basically Alexis' cooldowns. He has all his cooldowns off once the Hourglass is over. He didn't use any of his own. You need to use the active items incredibly well. And there was 3 or 4 fights in a row where he didn't use Seraph Embrace. But except for that, he played absolutely perfect.
Yeah, his positional play on Kassadin was really good. He kept, whenever somebody thinks they're safe, Kassadin will jump on the edge of the fight, QE in, and then you walk towards him, your team will back you up, Kassadin goes out, Kassadin goes in again. And at the same time, Gambit reacted really well to that, with Alexis almost doing the same. Yeah, even remember that fight, Rio insta-gib Genja, and you think, okay, this game is over. Nope, Alex comes in from the side, gets a kill, gets a reset, jumps around, hops about. Suddenly the crowd goes wild, shouting Gambit again, because Gambit won that fight. And it just went back and forth, and I really think even the mistakes that were made by all these players once in a while made this game much better, because it's much more exciting to watch. But then the finale, that was just, the Koreans keeping their cool. Okay, you took a Baron, you may have this game. Everybody thinks you're going to win. We'll just, walk, just kill your base.
Was that a monumental mistake from Gambit, not having the vision?
No. Well, in the end, it
cost him the game, right? So
you could have called that, but who the hell expects that to happen in this kind of a game? Unless you're SK Gaming and it's happened to you before, you will not pay as much attention to it. I think it's a slip that you can allow Gambit to make in the nature of the game, because they were this close to finishing it. This is very well played by KDB.
It was incredibly tough. Now, for you guys at home, it does mean that we have our finalists locked in. I want to show you guys the playoff bracket, with today's semifinals having been played through and Cloud9 being taken out by Fnatic 2-1. Fnatic will face off against the KT Rolls to Bullets. KTB having taken down Gambit 2-0 in that second semifinal of the day. This match will take place tomorrow at the earliest at 5:30 Central European time. Now, why I say that is because Sunday is finals day here at the Intel Extreme Masters World Championship. It starts actually with the EMS 1 Counter-Strike Global Offensive Finals. That'll be earlier in the day. Following that, on the main stage, will then be the StarCraft 2 Intel Extreme Masters World Championship Final, which is a $100,000 winner-takes-all tournament. If those tournaments run longer for any reason, and it pushes the league's start time backwards, we will then start after 5:30. If they finish early, we will not start before. To find out more information, head over to eslgaming.com. You can find out all the info on the other tournaments that are running by. And the guy screaming in the background, that's for the CSGO. You'll surely want to check that out. Now, let's talk just a quick second more before we throw over to the interview. The final tomorrow is going to be KT Rolls to Bullets taking on Fnatic. I personally did not expect Fnatic to be going into the final tomorrow, and this will be the 8th time that KT Rolls to Bullets could be the gatekeepers of the eventual championship winner. It's a little less impressive when it's in the final itself, but hey, still counts, right? What are we expecting going into the final tomorrow?
Kassadin ban?
Well, I guess so. Froggen?
I wouldn't actually expect a Kassadin ban, but as I am a mid laner, I look forward to the mid matchup, Pekka versus Ryu. Both of them looked incredibly strong in these games.
Let's break it down a little deeper than Kassadin. What's your thought process?
I'm not sure. I think KDB looked pretty solid. They had a lot of diversity. Apparently, though, the reaction comp they played in the first game with the Shen against Renekton is now revealed, and it was played by their sister team as well, apparently in Korea. Monte Krista pointed out on Twitter earlier today.
So they have practiced a couple of comps. So while they were reactive a lot, it does seem they had practiced that. So I wonder what other tricks they have up their sleeve, or if they've shown all their strategies already. Fnatic obviously is doing their homework right now, so they're prepared. At the same time, Fnatic doesn't look as convincing as KDB almost did, but it's really hard to call because Fnatic is on the rise. They're getting better and better and better throughout the tournament, and KDB is looking steady on the same level, but they've shown that they've come at the verge of losing games almost. They still pull out a win most of the time, or 4-0 now, I believe, in the tournament.
Yeah.
But they've come close to losing. If anything, if any team is going to take it, might as well be Fnatic.
Yeah. I need to touch on the fact that KTB actually had 2 weeks of practice, because before those 2 weeks of practice, they played LeBlanc in 4 games in a row in Korea. Now, they played 4 games here at Intel Extreme Masters. None of the games were on LeBlanc, if I recall correctly. And all the time, they had a solid counter to the LeBlanc pick. So I think that's going to be really interesting going into tomorrow.
Well, we will see. Tomorrow will be a best of 5, of course. I'd like to say thank you to both of you guys for sticking with us, and of course to all the casters. We're about to have that final winner interview. Before we do, though, I just want to remind you guys at home about all of the social media once again. Facebook.com/IEM, #IEM on Twitter. And we are running that MVP vote. To find out how to take part, head over to eslgaming.com, click on that live Katowice button, vote. Tell us which of those 6 players you deem to be MVP worthy. Once again, we kick off tomorrow at 5:30 Central European time at the earliest. Right now, we have Ryu waiting on stage with Shox, as they are our second finalists to face off against Fnatic tomorrow.
Thank you very much, guys, at the desk. Indy joined by Ryu, the second finalist for tomorrow, the KT Rolster Bullets. Whew, what an ending to that game. Ryu, tell me what was going on in the team when you made that decision to backdoor and end the game like that.
지금 끝판에 어떤 팀에서 누가 백도어 하라고 콜했는지요?
마파 선수가 한타를 하면 질 것 같아서 백도어 가자고 오더했어요.
So it was actually Mafa and the team, because they realized that they can't win when they are fighting. So he made the call, let's backdoor, since that's the way to win.
All right, credit to Mafa for that one. Tell me about the fights and about the end of the game, because you guys were doing really well and then you couldn't manage to win the fights anymore. Why was that?
두 번째 판에 처음에는 싸울 때마다 KT 롤스 쪽에서만 이겼는데, 근데 끝에 가면 계속 지게 됐어요. 왜 졌는지, 왜 싸울 때?
카직스가 킬을 좀 많이 먹어가지고 저희 원딜이 징크스 생존기가 없는 원딜이라서 후반에 저희가 한타를 졌던 것 같아요.
It's actually because of Kha'Zix. Kha'Zix got actually really fat and he got too many kills, so he couldn't actually jump on the Jinx and just take him out really, take her out really fast, and that was one of the reasons.
Yeah, of course, that Kha'Zix was your lane opponent in Alex. Why did you go for the Kassadin? How strong do you think he is in the current patch?
카사딘이랑 카직스 상대로 어떤지, 그리고 카사딘 이번 패치에 어떻게 생각하시는지요?
패치는 별로 너프가 안 된 것 같고, 카츠 상대로 라이저는 힘들고, 근데 갈수록 더 쉬워지는 것 같아요.
So about the recent patch of a Kassadin, he thinks it's not a big nerf, it's not a nerf at all, and to play against Kha'Zix, it's like laning phase is quite hard, but when time passes by, it's actually fine to lane against it.
Wow, that's very interesting. So you guys are obviously in the finals here at the Intel Extreme Masters. How important is it for you guys to show what you're worth on an international stage like this?
지금 해외 대회 와서 지금 네 페네틱 팀이랑 결승 올라왔는데요. 지금 해외 대회 와서 얼마나 이런 결승 올라온 얼마나 중요한지요? 설명해 주세요.
중요한 거요? 해외대회 엄청 중요하다고 생각하고 외국 팬분들에게 좋은 모습 많이 보여주고 싶어요.
It's really important, obviously, to be in the finals in a foreign event, and they want to show some good games to the foreign community, and yeah.
Okay, then final question. How do you think you will do versus Fnatic, versus your direct lane opponent, Xpeke, in that matchup?
What was it again? Sorry.
How will they do tomorrow versus Fnatic?
네, 페네드랑 몇 대 몇으로 될 것 같아요?
5판 3선이죠.
Best of 5.
3대1로 저희가 이길 것 같습니다.
So they're gonna win 3-1.
They're gonna win 3-1. Nice prediction there. Thank you very much. Guys, give it up one more time for Ryu and the KT Rolster Bullets. We have our finalists. we have our finalists for tomorrow. Thank you very much, Ryu. We'll, of course, be seeing you tomorrow as Fnatic goes up against the KT Rolster Bullets in the final of the Intel Extreme Masters League of Legends tournament here. That's at 5:30 tomorrow. Remember, as Quickshot said, of course, there's an amazing CSGO final before that and the StarCraft final. Tons of esports tomorrow, but tune in at 5:30. We'll see you tomorrow.